week, we are spending some time with candidates who are running for St. Paul mayor. We've confirmed interviews with 4 of the 5. Incumbent Mayor Melvin Carter is the only one who has not responded. Today, it's going to be Mike Hilborn, the lone Republican candidate. Tomorrow, Adam Dellinger. Wednesday, it's Yan Chen. And Thursday, Kali Her. It's the same format as last week. We interviewed candidates in the Minneapolis mayoral race. It's 10 minutes live. Topics were sent ahead of time, and then I'll be asking more specific questions that are just specific to each candidate. We've asked them not to criticize other candidates in their time because there's no opportunity to respond. And so today's candidate is St. Paul business owner Mike Hilborn, again, also the only Republican of these candidates. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
You know, let me correct you if you don't mind. Independent.
Independent?
Yeah, independent.
Interesting. So
yeah.
A lot of things that I'm reading say Republican candidate.
You know, it's like the founders of St. Paul said that they didn't want either the mayor position to be a partisan position, and so it wasn't supposed to be left or right or red or blue. Yeah. And I really like that. We really need to come together as a city with the problems that we have. From the beginning I've said independent, but
thank you.
People.
Yeah, and the sources I was reading I thought were pretty credible, but I'm so glad that you said that. Thank you. And your time has not started yet, so thank you. That was a really important clarification. And I'll have Ryan actually in my ear kind of keep me on track here and let me know how many minutes that we have left as we're going. Just let everybody know last week and this week they did a great job, kept it right to 10, but if we keep our answers around 30 seconds to a minute, we can get through a good portion of these. So
I'm very brief, so you probably won't need 30 seconds for a lot of my.
Okay, well, you get 10 minutes. So, and Ryan, are you ready to have? Okay, Ryan's ready. So let's start your time right now. We'll start with public safety and policing. The Department of Justice is suing St. Paul for its so-called sanctuary city policies, which they say results in the release of dangerous criminals. So when it comes to federal law enforcement working in the city, Mike, what role should St. Paul police have?
So, you know, that's a great question. I was just on a Latino radio show last week, and I asked her, I said, okay, so we have a crime problem, St. Paul, a serious crime problem, and we arrest the guy, he's in jail, we get a call from ICE, and they say, this guy is an illegal immigrant, and we need to come get him. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we? Instead, what we do is we let the guy back into the community. Now ICE has to go to his house. And typically, then you arrest 3 or 4 guys. How about we just arrest the one guy we want and make it easy? And she thought, well, yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at. Interesting.
As far as gun control goes, a group of mayors from across the metro, including St. Paul, is asking state lawmakers to give individual cities the authority to make their own gun ordinances. They want to ban high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. How do you feel about that? And would you join that group?
I would not. It's in our Constitution. Rights to bear arms will not be infringed. I saw this thing that hammers, like everyday hardware hammers, kill more people than assault weapons. So no, everybody has the right to protect themselves.
And what would your message be to those? Because we've seen, obviously, out of the tragedy at Assumption, we've seen so many groups coming out to ask for this exact thing. We've seen doctors and faith leaders. We've seen clearly parents and family members and those who lost loved ones in this. So what would your message to them be in this?
Well, it's tragic I sent my kids to Minneapolis Academy, and I can only imagine that. So, yeah, I find it interesting. We have armed guards at banks to protect our money. We have armed guards at sporting events to protect our fans. We have armed guards at airports to protect people from getting on planes. Why don't we have armed guards at our schools to protect our kids? That makes no sense to me at all. So I would say that's what we need to do. We need to protect our schools with people that can protect our kids.
Let's talk about the economy now. What are 2 things that you would do to revitalize downtown? We'll talk about one sort of short-term right away, and then another in the next year or 2. What 2 things would you be looking at if you had to narrow it down?
So St. Paul has I think 3 fundamental problems that we have to fix, and it starts with these 3. We have the highest taxes in Minnesota for property tax. St. Paul is the most expensive place to live in Minnesota. We have the highest property taxes and the highest sales tax. St. Paul's sales tax is 9.88%. Minneapolis is 9.03. A business is not going to start in St. Paul. People aren't going to move into St. Paul if you're the most expensive place to run a business. And then second, crime is a huge problem. And so if you're going to let criminals break buildings, walk into stores like Walgreens and Walmart and Lund's and steal stuff and walk out, businesses are going to close. And St. Paul has lost 500 businesses between 2020 and 22. St. Paul is of the 5 biggest cities in Minnesota. St. Paul, of those 5, only St. Paul has lost population. It's too expensive to run a business here, and it's too expensive to live here, and then people are going to leave. You have to fix both of those. And homelessness is in there too. If people are sleeping on sidewalks, nobody wants to have a business where people are sleeping on sidewalks.
Why don't we transition into that topic as long as you brought that up. Homelessness and encampments, these are issues that cities like St. Paul are facing right now. What specifically would you do as it pertains to encampments or homelessness to try to find solutions that are humane, also reason, we have to worry about budgets, right, when you're mayor. What are some of the things that you would do specifically?
Well, the 2 biggest problems with homelessness is people that are addicted to drugs and people with mental illness. And so we have to have programs, and the County of Ramsey helps with that, to address mental illness and drug addiction. And one of the things my company does is every single day, every 7 days a week from April through October, we pick up trash and power wash for Catholic Charities downtown St. Paul across from the Excel Center. So I go down there myself and I pick up trash about once a month with my guys. And so I see it firsthand. Those people need to have help. And then tents, I don't see compassion where people live in tents. And no, there's no sleeping in tents. If you want to sleep in a tent, you can't live in St. Paul.
Ryan, time check for me quickly here. About 5 minutes left here, halfway through our time. Mike, tell me a little bit more about your experience as a business owner. I read somewhere sort of a second chance business owner is what you were described as by one outlet. What does that mean?
So, we've been in business 30 years, and that's a long time when I think back. And we've been a second chance employer for about 10 to 12 years. So like right across the street from me is a halfway house, and I'd see guys there that were just lifting weights and playing basketball, and it seems like those guys would need a job. So I started working with RS Eden, Volunteers of America, Minnesota Adult Teen Challenge. I'm on the board of Accessibility, and we hire men and women that have been incarcerated or are in recovery. We start everybody at $25 an hour. Everybody gets health and dental if they want it, and I tell all my friends about it. You've got to do this because they are the hardest working, most loyal people. We have super low turnover. The talent that's available is unbelievable. So that's kind of where I even say that's my independent side. It's like I can't get anybody to do that. As far as my experience in St. Paul, and actually the reason I'm running is last November, my landlord came to me, and he's awesome. And he said, hey, Mike, your rent is going up a lot May 1st, because that's when my lease renewed. And if you're going to leave, you need to have time to find a place, and I'm going to need to find somebody to replace you. So he came in with a bunch of property tax statements, and he said, Mike, look what's happened in St. Paul with property taxes. Mike, your rent is going up from $17,000 to $22,000 a month, so $5,000 a month in increase on my commercial property. And I said, well, Brian, I'm not going anywhere. I'm invested in St. Paul. I love St. Paul. It's a beautiful city. But yeah, a lot of people in this city are hanging from a thread. A lot of businesses, like I've already said, have left. We have to stop this. We have to lower taxes. We cannot be the most expensive place in Minnesota to run a business. It just can't. You can't do that.
Okay, 3 minutes left. I want to address the cyber attack that shut down city services. It threatened to do even more damage if a ransom wasn't paid, which the city said it was not. Where does cybersecurity fall on your list of priorities? And then how much are you willing to spend to bolster it?
So, that's funny. We actually had that happen here at my business, and that was probably about 10 years ago. Okay. We had a contractor that left a door open, in our system, whatever that means. And somebody got in, locked us up, and they sent us a ransom note. It was $10,000, which, nothing really, but still a lot at the time. And so we paid it, and the guy went online, and he got us back going. And so we have redundancies here because we're not going through that again. So you can't lose all of your data. The $10,000 was a fraction of what the value of that data was. So everybody has to take cybersecurity extremely seriously, and you have to have the systems in place to make sure that if something bad happens, you've got backups to go back. And St. Paul didn't have that, and that's a management problem.
Okay. With our 2 minutes left here, I just wanted to ask you about, you mentioned early, and thank you for this, independent candidate here. St. Paul's a blue city. You're in a primarily blue state. So what makes you believe that you are somebody who can break through and have people vote for an independent candidate in this case?
You know, if we keep voting for the same people, we're going to get the same results, and then, you know, don't complain about it. So I'm running as an independent, not left or right, and it's kind of funny. People like send all these letters to you. You get all these letters when you run for stuff. I think everybody should run for mayor once because it's a great experience. And you get these letters that want you to be endorsed by them. So you're promising them certain things so they'll give you their endorsement. And I don't have Democrats supporting me. I don't have Republicans supporting me. I'm independent to do what's best for St. Paul. And the breath of fresh air that is for a lot of people has been one of the highlights of this whole thing. So if you want to change, I think the only person that's going to be able to change St. Paul, because it's just as bad as Minneapolis, if not worse, you're going to have a businessman or a businesswoman. That's the only person that's going to fix it, that's going to come in here. And we're going to go do things in an order. We're going to lower taxes, we're going to lower crime, and we're going to get rid of homelessness. And anything that doesn't fit through that prism, you know, for the next 3 years is how long this term is, you know, then I vote for somebody else. But for now, I think the best shot is you want Mike Hilborn to be your mayor.
Okay, Mike, that brings us up to the 10-minute mark. Thank you for your time today.
All right.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay, you bet. All right,
Okay.
Take care.